What advice would you give to a recent college graduate, somebody just entering the workforce, a woman? Anything that you feel like, any lessons that you would impart to them, or words of wisdom?
I worry that, I think I might be a bit in the Sheryl Sandberg camp of lean in, and there's maybe potentially a bit of an aspiration gap.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I would even hope to get to them before they graduate from college. I would try to get to them, like, I don't know, like middle school.
Sure.
And I would tell them to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell them to work really hard in all their subjects, particularly math, and don't let the notion, I feel like at some point in your education, like when you're really young, at some point, I remember this, I got it into my head that, like, I couldn't do math.
I definitely got that into my head.
Okay, well, maybe it's not like a gender thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like that starts to happen, and then it kind of feeds on itself, and you're like, well, I'm not really good at that, so I'll just do this, and then you kind of put yourself on a whole different track.
Yes. It's very self-defeating.
It is, and I feel,
or limiting.
And I certainly don't have like hard numbers behind this, but I do think that once you get like a bug like that in your head, the compounding effects of that over the course of a life and the course of a career are just massive. So I would try to get these kids when they're like in middle school, tell them to play sports, learn how to be on a team, learn that it's fine to fail. You don't have to win every time, but being in the game itself is just very important. I would encourage them to work really hard at math and science and subjects that maybe aren't typically associated with women. And then I would encourage them to definitely go to college, take the same approach in college. Also, looking at what your passion is, but being cognizant of some of the built-in issues that women may face. And then once they graduate, I would urge them to go big. Like, don't hedge. Go for the hardest jobs. Go for finance. Go for consulting. Go for leading a nonprofit. Go for whatever it is that scares you. Like, if it's scaring you a bit, that's probably what you should do. Because there's no better time to take risks than early on. And I think if you start consciously or subconsciously planning out your career such that by the time I'm 30, it seems like a flexible job and I could maybe have a kid, like you're starting to set up your whole life around this theoretical like family and cluster of children that don't exist. And I don't think people really talk about it. I mean, when you're like 20 and making a decision of whether to go into investment banking or something else, hardly are you articulating these. But as I reflect on, even on my own experience, it was in my head. I mean, it's in there somewhere. So I would really encourage people to just go big. Try something that really freaks you out, and have an eye on some form of higher education if possible.